Hello, everybody. Judy Jandora here. I wanted to make another video today. Wow, two in one day. And it's been months. Um, but I wanted to make this video about how we're perceiving situations and other people in our lives. So, like scenarios that play out, and you're feeling like, oh, gosh, I really don't feel good about that. Or this person, it just drives me crazy. Don't want to keep hanging out there. Or this scenario just keeps playing itself out over and over in different situations. So if something is continually playing out over and over in different situations, then it's actually something that you're asking to see within inside of yourself. It's a belief system that you're still holding on to that you're not aware of, because most of the time, 66%, too cute. Most of the time, the situations that keep playing themselves out are, not most of the time, all the time, when situations continue to play themselves out, and it's the same kind of situation. It just meets you in this scenario, or in that scenario, or in that scenario. As they say, wherever you go, there you are. That is so true. Because you take you along with you, always. And the field of creation reads you. And so it gives you, you. So if there's a situation that keeps playing out that you're uncomfortable with, a scenario that plays itself out that you're uncomfortable with, it's because there's something inside of yourself that you're holding on to, a belief system that you actually are probably doing the exact same thing to others in scenarios that you're not even aware of. Because I think if you were aware of it, you would see it and you would take care of it, and it would be done, and it would be over. And what I've noticed is that there are lots of scenarios that have played themselves out over my lifetime that those were the things I complained about. So-and-so's doing this, so-and-so's doing that. This happened to me, that keeps happening to me. Why does this keep happening? And it's because I actually was playing that out myself, but in denial that I was actually making that happen. Really totally not paying any attention to it, not admitting to it, not allowing myself to see my own culpability, if you want to call it that, in presenting that energy myself. So what I want to talk about is really kind of becoming more aware with inside yourself when these situations happen, to really kind of, take a look at what's going on in your environment. Really watch scenarios. If something's continually bothering you, there's resistance to it. Whether it's something that you're doing yourself, which is, that happens quite a bit, or it's something that you're in such denial of that, actually not so much denial of, but resistance to that scenario, that it keeps showing itself to you. Because whatever you're in resistance to will persist in your life. Universal law. Because, really, for us to move through all of this and to move into fullness, fifth dimensional embodiment, we really have to know ourselves as the love that we are. And ourselves, ourself, it's really one self, is all that is. And especially, all that is in your perception. So your life is showing you what you're in resistance to, what you're in denial of, what you hate. And what you hate is part of you. And it actually exists in a physical form, as I've said many times before on my other videos. It exists in an energy field that is still attached to you. A lot of people, I didn't realize this for the longest time, and it's just kind of come into my reality recently. People call it programming. We've been programmed for this. We've been programmed for that. We've been programmed to believe that the world works in a certain way, that people just do what they do, or that life is just the way it is, or that that's just how life works. And there's nothing that you can do about it. It's just the way it is. Those are programs. Literally, like I said before, the video game in my last video that I haven't even published yet. This is a video game. This is your video game. You literally are live streaming you. And that's all you're live streaming. That's all you see. It's you. It's your perception. You are vast. You are an amazing, incredible, powerful creator. You create worlds. You're doing it right now. And every single bit of the world that you're seeing is a reflection of you, of the beliefs that you hold, of the energies that are still in there, not seen, not brought up into the light. I've been saying recently that this is all a whole lot like, well, see, even all the stories, all of the music, all of the stories, all of the movies, everything that has ever played out upon this earth is not separate from you. It is actually your programming. You programmed so much of this before you even came into this reality. These certain things were going to work themselves out. They were going to be a major part of how things played out to come into the forgetting of self, then into the remembering of self. So all of the movies and the music and all of that stuff, it's your creation. So it's like, yeah, that cool, amazing person over there, this band created this incredible music, and wow, these movie makers and, the shows and all of this stuff, they're not there except that you created them to be there. So really pay attention. Pay attention to what they're showing you. Really try to see it from a higher perspective, though, from an overview instead of from the old programming of being the victim of it and just being a separate part of it, being buffeted around by it. That's not the actual truth of it. The actual truth of it is that it's all there to show you the keys and codes to your own creation and how to move back into fullness and to bring all of that, every single bit of it, back into the fullness of you. It won't play its own part separately once it's accepted into the love of unconditional love. When you offer it, honestly, sincerely offer it, it will actually dissolve into the unconditional love, the non-judgment, the joy, the playfulness, the creativity. I mean, if you created all of that, my God, what can you create now? Do you want to continue to create a world with all these governments that are oppressive, with a money system that you may or may not have an affinity towards or with, with vehicles that may or may not break down, and do you have the money to repair them, and food that, is being processed to the point that it's not even food anymore, and, and then you look around and you see how easy it is for people to just grow their own without using anything. The natural life Nature, the true part of nature, is purely loving and holistic. So there's a cure for everything. We don't have to put molecules here and molecules there outside of ourselves to create our own healing. Your very own wondrous human imagination, that's all it is. That's all anything is. So when you decide to change that up, when you decide to use the force within you, the light that you are, the matter that is dancing in that light, as physicality is everything. All of the things that you see are that dance between the mother-father, playing out as the son, as the prodigy. When you decide what it's supposed to look like, and you decide that you actually do have the power to do that, and you found within you enough unconditional love for your own self, including, because it's not excluded, self everywhere, letting it be as it is. Look, if part of self wants to play itself out in a really disastrous way, then that's what that part wanted to play out and needs to play out, and that's okay. Do you need to go and buy front row seats to it and play in it? Well, I don't know, do you? If you do, go for it. But most of the people that are going to be watching this really don't anymore. They've gotten to the point where it's like, first they got to the point where it was, I hate this. I hate this world. I hate the way it's playing out. Look at those bad guys. Oh my God, I've got to stop this. I've got to go do this. I've got to go do that. I've got to be in resistance to it. If I'm not in resistance to it, and if I'm not hating those people and telling them to stop, then it's never going to stop. That's the biggest lie out there right now, and it is really rampant right now. There are a lot of amazing, beautiful beings out there telling us that if we don't fight it, and we don't go after it, and we don't knock it down, it ain't going to go away. And they're saying that this, as I'm speaking, is the biggest lie out there right now. Well, discernment is everything. And I don't have any negative feelings towards them. That's not true. I'm feeling some as I'm speaking. So I still have some stuff in there that I get to play with. So that's cool too. But for the most part, I really don't have, I have very, very little resistance anymore to other people, other parts of myself out there playing out this need to go and fight and destroy the bad guys, save the earth, But the truth is the earth is never, ever outside of self. You are projecting your reality. There aren't any parts of that I can take out and say, except for that part. Or, except for that part. That's not true either. That's separate. No. You. And I mean seriously, there is nothing that is in your existence that is not in you. Now, that is from the higher perspective as well, because you did create all of this from the higher perspective before you came in to embodiment and began the forgetting process and the separation process that was part of the play, part of the video game. But now that we're waking up from it, there is nothing inside of me that, well, apparently there is a little bit inside of me, or I wouldn't be in any kind of resistance at all to those who are doing that. So I'll admit that part. There's very little, very, very little left inside of me that is in resistance to all of the parts of me out there playing all of the different roles. But what I am noticing very, very clearly and so beautifully and so excitingly and joyfully is that when I release my own resistance to any situation, any type of being out there that presents a scenario for me, that offers potential for resistance. Most of the time now, most of the time now, I actually can look at it and go, oh, I used to have resistance to that, but I don't anymore. So that's cool. They can just be them and do them, and I can take my attention away from the behavior of what I'm seeing. See the light that shines in the depth in every single molecule of that being that may not know itself as the love that it is just yet, but I do. And when I do, that literally dissipates any of the story. Story is a big thing, and I'm going to probably get into that. I always do this. Get into that in another video, because the story itself deserves its own video, because it's a huge subject. And this really speaks a lot to it anyway. But, the story is the shadow. The story is the part that we created to be in the forgetting and the separation of. And that's the shadow. So it really is, we created this whole smoke and mirror scenario, and we actually came out with that verbiage kind of as a, tongue-in-cheek kind of thing that is actual truth. Everybody's our mirror, because it is us looking at us, and everything that isn't shining brightly in the light of love is in shadows. And all that is story that is energetic. Physicality is more physical because it's more condensed, still being worn as truth by wherever the shadow is showing up, including self. And that is what resistance is, because when we are in resistance to the light, we're still wearing shadow. And right now, everything about the dance of the cosmos, this is as above, so below, as within, so without. Infinitely inward, infinitely outward, infinitely expansive. Everything that exists is actually in this dance, and it's all raising vibratory level. Literally, parts of the cosmos that are so brightly shining, massively creative, are actually raising their vibration even higher and expanding out and creating even more because of what you do, because of what you're doing right here, right now, and just wanting to understand this, and just wanting to know self, know the love of the light that self is dancing within. The mother has joined the father and dances in pure love. And the more we let go of the shadow, the freer the dance gets. The freer the song becomes. The more multidimensional everything gets. You guys are seeing it. You're seeing it in videos on Facebook where you're seeing animals that we knew. I mean, we saw pictures and knew as we were growing up. Everything about us knew that these animals were foes. They killed each other. They fought each other. They killed each other. The cat and the bird and the mouse and the cat and, the lion and the lamb. What are we seeing now? We're seeing videos, real life situations where these animals are playing with each other. Big scary dogs and little bitty birds rolling on the ground together, kissing, loving each other. I mean, elephants and dogs and, it just goes on and on and on. It's endless. People helping each other. The animal scenario is really very indicative of us creating our separation by color, by creed, seeming, by different parts of the United States, saying the South and the North and the East and the West and the people in the Central States and the people at the coasts, let alone different countries, and the battles that are going on. Look, all of the wars, all of these scenarios out there that are playing out that are so desperate that are so desolate, that are so just heart-wrenching. All they are the parts of ourselves that are in resistance to other parts of self, that we're seeing as mirrors, but thinking that they're separate and that they're scary and that they're in some sort of battle with us, that they threaten who we are. And if we don't kill them, they're going to kill us. I think that's over now. You know, we played that out. It's done. We're here to join. We're here to see ourselves as the love that we are. And when we can forgive ourselves and stop carrying around the old stories, even yesterday's, even 2 hours ago, and a scenario that we played out and maybe didn't do it in the most loving way. And we're so used to saying, oh, God, look what you did. You're never going to get this. Oh, don't do that to yourself. Just don't do that to yourself. It just doesn't serve anything or anyone. It doesn't serve the one. You. So really, really, just be kind. Say to yourself, you're pure love. So you've got a shadow in there. You've got a shadow that wants to be seen. It wants to be loved. It wants to be brought into the fullness. Grab hold of that shadow. Just sit in it and just emit all the love that you can muster. Everything that you can possibly imagine that is pure love that you've experienced, that you know that you are, and just emit that into that shadow. And just feel it. It will dissipate. And it will just become the rest of you and give you more space for the light that it is, because it just became back into light. You've got more light now. You've got more creation power. That's why I never worry about anything happening where somebody gets too much power. Even the quote-unquote powers that be that we think of as outside of ourselves, they can't have so much power that they can destroy anything. Because that kind of power, the power that really creates like that, can only come through unconditional love. And that unconditional love can only come through you. As everything does, it comes through you. So I wish you the unconditional love that you are to literally come alive, to glow so brightly in every single molecule, atom, quark, beyond. When it gets really, really tiny, it actually gets just massively huge too. There is no smallness. Unconditional love is all that exists. That's pretty freaking vast. So I wish that for you. Call upon all the other parts of you that are released into absolute pure love. They are there for you. They ask you. They want you to ask them for help. The minute you do, it will be there. To the amount of trust that you have that is so. And let me tell you, it's powerful. It's instantaneous now. There's no time in between what you wish for and what will come if the trust is pure. Like never before. This is the now in which to come back in to self, to the light that the Father offers, and the love that the Mother is. Matter is the dance of the marriage of the Mother and Father, light and matter. You are the meeting point of that creation. Don't play small anymore. You are love.